Hi, I'm Nath from the Wood Project. We're a unique business on the Mornington Peninsula in Hastings. We salvage local log from suburban tree removal, all logs that would have otherwise been wasted, chipped away or in burn piles. We salvage the logs, we bring them back here, we mill them, we air dry for 12 months, then we re-rack them, put them in the kiln, so you buy a slab from us, they're dry and ready to work with. We also supply them dressed, which means they've been flattened and sanded on the drum sander to 60 grit. You can see there's no rock in them. They're dead flat, ready for work. Now, in comparison, this is an undressed slab, twisted, cupped, a lot of work from there. So they come to you with the hard work done. So you buy a slab from us, they're kiln dried and they're flat. And today we're going to show you how to work on a slab from the dressed stage. Okay, so the tools you'll need are an orbital sander. Now this is a Festool, it's a good sander, it's probably the best on the market. It's got a grind option for coarse sanding. Now there's another one that Bosch make that do a grind option as well, so for coarse sanding for a fraction of the price. It's not as good as sander, but it'll do the job. So you'll also need some 60 grit and 120 grit sandpaper, a drill, a scraper, a tape measure, a small ruler, a pencil, some 40mm screws, a square, a good straight edge, a circular saw, a couple of clamps, some safety equipment, and your glasses so you know what you're doing. So let's get to work. Helping us with the demonstration today is Wayne. Now he's a guru in the industry. He's been working on live edge timber for a good 20 years. So you're in good hands. So what we're going to work on first is a Sydney blue gum slab for this customer. It's going to be a bar top. They want to keep one natural edge. They want to cut a square edge off the back because it's going in against the wall. So we're going to cut that edge off. Then we're going to square end both ends and take it from there. So the first thing we do, we grab a straight edge. Now this customer wants maximum width, so they don't care if it goes narrower up one end and keep the width at this end. So we'll mark it up there. So we're going to clamp this straight edge onto where it's needed. Then we're going to run the saw up along the straight edge. So we need to measure the distance between the blade and the guide rail. Most saws are about 38 to 40mm. So I think we're on 39mm for this one. So we'll measure 39mm from our line, and then clamp the straight edge, and then we can run the saw and it'll be in the right position. So we're going to set the depth of the saw as well. The blade to come out from the bottom of the timber about 10mm, so we'll go a little bit lower. Okay, so now we've clamped it on to our marks, we just put the square back on, line it up, and just to make sure it's all square, and that's perfect, ready to go. So now we make our second cut. This customer wants the length of the bar top to be 2.4 metres. So now that we've got a square edge across the back and at one end, simple as measuring 2.4 metres from this square cut end and then square off that end. Okay, making sure it's square, and we clamp it back up and make our final cut. Okay, that's our final cut. Now this bar top is cut to size, cut to the customer's specifications. So that's the first part we wanted to show you about cutting slabs. But what if the customer wants both natural edges. That's the next slab we'll work on. So this is a lemon-scented gum slab, beautiful timber. Now these customers for another bar top, they want maximum length, but they want to keep both natural edges. It's a freestanding bar top. So what we're going to show you with that one is how to square end each end, keeping both natural edges. So the first thing we do is we mark the width of the slab at one end, not including the natural edges, just the surface area, and then mark our centre point. Once we've done that, we do the same at the other end, mark the centre point again, and then we run a straight edge from that mark at that end to the mark at this end. Now, we can square off our centre mark using the square to the narrowest point of the slab. So that's our cut-off line. Mark our 39mm for our saw guide. And again, once we've clamped it up, we'll just check for square. Make our first cut. Okay, first cut done. So now we just repeat the process for the other end. Now, so we just check for square now that we've clamped it up. So we've square-ended both ends of the slab, keeping both natural edges. So the next thing to do is to relieve the tension in the timber. So with the wider slabs, this slab's about 650 wide, there's a lot of tension in the timber usually, especially with Aussie hardwoods. So we need to relieve the tension, and the way to do that is to relief cut. So at the moment, the timber is like doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to just get it to relax. And that's what we're going to show you now. Every 50mm, we're going to run a saw cut right through. We're going to leave about 80mm from each end. So we'll put the saw in 80mm from the end, go up to the other end and stop 80mm from the end. Now, the cut, as a general rule of thumb, will go halfway through the thickness of the timber. So this being only a 35mm thick slab, we'll go roughly 17, 18mm deep with our cut, and we'll run it 50mm increments. And that will relieve the tension. It helps to stop the timber cupping as well. Even though the timber's dry, it'll still move with aircon and heaters and stuff like that. Timber will always move, and this will just help it to relax. All right, so we're going to start our cut 80mm from the end and finish 80mm from the far end. Also, we're going to stay 80mm out from the edges. So 80mm from the ends and 80mm from the edges. We don't go further. Okay, so we're going to now set our blade to the right depth, which will be about 17 or 18mm. We've marked it on the slab, and we'll lock it up there. Make sure it's locked up tight. Okay, so now we'll make our first cut. We'll start relief cutting. Mark 50mm and just keep moving it along. Now make sure you're cutting the bottom of your slab. We don't want to be cutting the top. Okay, so that slab has now been relief cut, as simple as that. What we're going to show you next is how to stabilise the slab. And if you look here, you'll see movement in the slab caused through the end splitting. Now, a lot of slabs will have some end splitting. So we're going to show you how to stabilise that so we can move on to the next stage of completing your slab. Okay, the first thing you're going to need is a 3 or 4mm drill bit. We're going to come up to the end of the split, and then we're going to drill a hole, and that'll stop it splitting further. So after we've done that, you'll need a countersink bit just from your local hardware store. Any hardware store will have one. And then we're going to countersink our screws from the narrow end of the split, and we're going to work our way down. So the first one will be countersunk through here, and then the next one the other side, and the other side, and the other side, so forth, until we've come all the way down. So Wayne's just done a terrific job there. He's just stabilised the slab. Now, very minimal movement. For a normal person, there would be no movement. I've just got like brutal strength. Okay, so that's a wrap for the first video, which involved all the cutting and square ending. We've shown you how to take a natural edge off and then square end a slab with one natural edge. We've also shown you how to square end each end of a slab where both natural edges are needed. We've shown you how to relieve the tension from a large timber slab, and also we've shown you how to stabilise your slab. So all ready to go to the next step. So look out for the next video. It'll show you how to finish the slab from this point. So just remember, if you're after a slab, you can come down and see us at the wood project. You're going to get a dry slab that's dressed. We're on the Mornington Peninsula in Hastings. If you've got any questions, we're only too happy to help, so you can get in touch by email or look us up online. So stay tuned for the next one. We'll show you how to finish it.